Good morning. I've really enjoyed this sermon series the last 6 Sundays in the room where it happened. Being able to look at Leonardo da Vinci's famous painting, The Last Supper, and then delve into the character of 8 of these different disciples, learning what da Vinci had to say about them and the way they would react in the moment they hear Jesus say, "Someone will betray me." That's the moment that's captured in this famous painting. It really is the painting that made Leonardo da Vinci famous. It's 29 feet wide, 15 feet high, painted in the Santa Maria del Grazia monastery there in Milan, Italy. Truly, there is such an attention to detail. Every expression on a disciple's face, it tells you what the disciple is thinking, how they're reacting, how their hands are being held. Just like we looked at Thomas with his finger up, foretelling how he would say to Jesus, or say to the disciples, "Unless I can place my finger in his hands and place my finger in his side, I will not believe." Or yesterday we were looking at Peter, and we saw how Peter was holding a sword. And we know Peter would rise up and strike the high priest's slave and cut off his ear, fighting for Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. No, what is done in that painting is truly, truly amazing. But just as amazing is that we have this famous painting at all. It was painted in 1495 to 1498. It took about 3 years. And no sooner had it gotten painted than the French King Louis invaded Italy. And in 1499, he took over Milan. And when he did, he saw this beautiful painting, and he wanted to steal it and take it home to France. But it was painted on the walls of the monastery, and he finally decided he couldn't get it down without tearing it up, and so he left it. It was then in about 1652, that the people who there were now owning this monastery and living there decided they needed a door from one room into another room, and so they cut a hole in that wall, and by doing so, it had to be high enough, it cut off the feet of Jesus. We lost the bottom of the painting when they put a door right there into this famous painting, The Last Supper. It was in 1796. 100 years later after that, you had the French back again, now with Napoleon. And they were anti-cleric, anti-Catholic church. They used this monastery as a stable for their horses and began throwing rocks and things against that beautiful painting. But the greatest chance of losing it took place on August the 15th, 1943. It was World War II. The Allies bombed Italy. And when we did, in the end, a bomb hit the monastery, destroying most of it. Fearing something like this would happen in World War II, they had built a special structure around the painting to protect it, and it worked. In spite of all those things, it really was only 50 years after Leonardo had painted it that because of the humidity and the environment, it had begun to flake, and so much of the paint was coming off. It's been restored many times down through the centuries, and 500 years later, we still have this beautiful painting. Yesterday was the beginning of Holy Week. And as you go through Holy Week, as you go through this week, it's a great time to take a moment to study the painting and all these different disciples we've looked at over the last 6 weeks. To look at the expressions of Andrew, Matthew, the tax collector, Simon the zealot, Thomas, Philip, James, John, and now Peter. We've looked at them all, studying how they reacted to this message from Jesus. I hope you'll go back this week and read Matthew 26. Read that one chapter today and help you to start thinking about this last night, this special night in that room where it happened. It'll prepare your heart. And together this week, I hope you and I will look at the painting. We will read that chapter in Matthew, and we will start taking our time with our devotionals to pray and to think, to prepare ourselves for Maundy Thursday, Good Friday, and finally that celebration of Easter. It's going to be a special week together. If you and I will stay grounded in Christ, then we will be ready to celebrate this next Sunday and find a new normal in the days that come. Have a great day.